All right, so now we're in the actual chalk talk portion of our interview here with Justin from NASCAR. So it's going to be broken into 4 quarters since we are in sports and entertainment. I'm jumping right into it in the preseason. So we're going to start off with your name, where you're from, and where you work, and then one aspect of sports do you appreciate the most?
Yeah, my name's Justin Swilling. I am originally from Dalton, Georgia, but live here in Charlotte, North Carolina now. And I'm a senior manager of driver and team marketing at NASCAR. I've been here for about 5 years and absolutely love working at NASCAR. I love working for a league. It's an incredible opportunity to be able to affect and influence different parts of the industry and the entire ecosystem and how we run and operate our sport. It's really an incredible opportunity, and love coming to work each day and getting to work with different drivers and teams on how we're marketing, communicating, and promoting the sport to our consumers. And again, I'm just super blessed and pumped to be here.
Being that you said that sports is just so influential and can be a bridge to help all these future generations. When you were younger, what did you initially want to do as a career? And then did you spend more time watching or playing?
Yeah, no. So fun fact about me, and something I don't bring up all too often now. I was actually an amateur race car driver, if there is such a thing, when I was growing up. So I raced from around the age of 9 to 19. Absolutely love stock car racing. I grew up around NASCAR. My family watched it when I was younger, and I just, again, knew that I wanted to be around the sport. So in middle school and high school, again, was driving cars and racing. And as I got to the end of my high school career, I kind of noticed, and let's just be honest, being a professional race car driver and making a living out of it is not something that many people have the chance to do. And I thought that I probably should start looking for a backup plan. But I wanted that backup plan to be tied to what I love, which was racing. And I looked around and I went to races, and I thought, man, there's just so many opportunities in and around the sport besides being in the car. So I actually, as I got to the end of my high school career, I started researching different college programs that I may want to explore. And believe it or not, a little small private Catholic liberal arts college in Charlotte, or just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, in Belmont, actually had a motorsports management degree. So I actually started to research that. And when I found out what it was all about, fell in love with it and went to Belmont Abbey College and had a great experience there. Got a ton of great one-on-one time with a lot of my college professors. Learned a ton. Had a great opportunity to do a bunch of different internships and learn and get to experience the workplace and what that's going to be like post-graduation. And just, again, continue to expand my network too. The two things in life that are so important are continuing to expand your network and continuing to nurture and build those relationships. And the ability to do that in college and to get that opportunity through those internships and to meet new people and continue to kind of expand my horizons, that was huge. So was super blessed and fortunate with that opportunity. And when I came out of college, I had met enough people, and I had earned enough credibility, and had enough work experience, if you will, and internships and volunteer work, that the opportunity at NASCAR opened up, and they were super excited about the opportunity to have me on board, and I was excited as well that they invited me on. So I've been here ever since.
Absolutely. And that actually leads into our next portion of the chalk talking is in your current role today. So if a student were to shout at you, what would they see you doing in your day-to-day?
Yeah, sure. So I work, again, in driver and team marketing. And if you look at NASCAR, we're not structured like other sports. If you look at the NFL, for example, the NFL is composed of franchises. Those are teams. They're owned by either a sole person or they're owned by a group of people. And those people have voting power to kind of affect what the front office of the NFL does and dictate kind of the direction of the league. NASCAR is not like any other sport in that we're a privately owned company. We're owned by one family. Our drivers, we don't own our drivers. They don't work for NASCAR. They work for the teams, and the teams don't work for NASCAR. They're independently owned companies. So my job at NASCAR is to really continue to manage and maintain the relationships with all of our drivers and our race teams on anything that's front office related. So think business, marketing, and communications. There's really two aspects of that business. The first one is to ensure they're educated on how NASCAR is promoting the sport and their role within that promotional plan. and how we want to be talking to consumers that are tuned into racing or that may want to tune into racing. How do we attract them? The other piece of our business is called driver star power. Fans connect to a driver, an athlete. They don't really connect to a race team. The driver is our most valuable asset, and we want to ensure that those drivers have well-established brands, and that when you see a Kyle Busch, or when you see a Chase Elliott, or when you see a Denny Hamlin, or any of the drivers in our sport, they have a well-established brand. You know what they stand for. You know who they are. You know the role that they play, and that's really important for us here at NASCAR. So those are my two primary roles.
Well, what is your two most satisfying parts of your role at NASCAR?
Two most satisfying parts. The first one's just seeing the work come to fruition and actually seeing it come to the forefront for our consumers to see and enjoy. You work on all these big promotional campaigns, and there's a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of long hours and a lot of emails, texts, and phone calls, and a lot of hard conversations at times too. But to see it all pay off in the end, and to see tickets be sold, and TV ratings go up, and to see sponsorships get sold, and fans again draw connections with drivers, and to see all that happens at the very end of kind of your final product, if you will, is super rewarding, and that's great. I think the other piece is too, you get to work with superstars. Like, what's not neat about that, right? I mean, the ability to be able to talk to drivers and have open dialogue and conversation with them is something that most fans and people who grow up with a passion for the sport only dream of. So the ability to just be able to have an honest conversation with them about how they're perceived and what they need and how we can help them, that's huge for us. And it's something that's really cool.
What's one skill that has helped you sustain and have a positive and productive career in the sports industry?
I think it's really simple, man. I think there's a few things that I can touch on here. I think that the first one is that you need to care about what you're doing and be thoughtful about your work. If you care a lot, you're passionate about it, and you're thoughtful about your work, you'll go leaps and bounds over your competitors. I'll just put it that way. Also, too, just the ability to clearly communicate with folks and have an honest conversation and an open dialogue. That's an incredible trait and asset to have too. And then the other piece of it is, and then the last piece of it is just the ability to, communicate with folks effectively. You just want to always be mindful that other people have other thoughts. You want to hear their thoughts. You want them to hear your thoughts. You want to do that effectively, and you want to do it in a way that at the end of the day, hopefully everyone finds resolve and kind of a plan forward. And I think communication is one of the biggest assets that anyone could have trying to be in sports and in the workplace in general, is just the ability to clearly articulate your communication skills.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's something that you've had to display throughout your career. So we definitely commend you on that. I'm going to end off with some career advice for the high school students who are watching this. If you could go back and tell your high school self one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
I'd tell my high school self that relationships are key in our industry. You're going to meet people. You're going to have to nurture relationships and make sure that they're mutually beneficial. And it's all about who you know in this industry. And everybody that you come in contact with, you're making an impression on them. And you want to make sure that that impression counts, and it counts in a good way. So I want, my high school self to know that relationships are everything. Sometimes it may be all you have to stand on, honestly, is the trust in that relationship. And you got to have great, strong relationships and continue to expand your network. Never stop meeting people, never stop wanting to meet people, because that only helps in the end. And then the last piece is experience is going to be critical. You're going to constantly be learning things through college. You're going to constantly be learning things in class and in internships and volunteer opportunities. If it's parking cars or going to have a meeting with the president of your organization, everything you do, you should be learning. And everything that you learn, you should apply to the next time you have to go do it or something like it. And that's what I give them. That's the advice that I give to my high school self.
Absolutely. So we're going to end off with one more piece of advice for them. What's the very next step that a high school student can take to eventually be in the role of your magnitude?
Sure. I mean, I think that what you're in the high school level, what you really need to be focused on right now is what areas do I want to explore for post graduation? Where do I want to be when I graduate college? For me, I wanted to be at NASCAR. And every decision that I made from that point, when I made that decision, everything that I did should count towards that, right? And I think that for kids that are in high school now, you should be focused on finding what you love and what you want to do for the rest of your life. Continue to expand your horizons and do your best to kind of identify that. And when you've identified it, start looking at colleges that are going to best prepare you to take that step and to get to that from point A to point B to get to where you want to be. That's what I'd tell students, and that's what I hope that everybody pulls away from this today.
Definitely appreciate you, Justin. Thank you again for spending time with us on Talk Talk. High school students who are watching this, campers, stay tuned for more content that we have posted.
Well, thanks for having me, Christian. I appreciate it, and thanks to everybody for joining, and hope you guys had a blast.
Absolutely. Peace.